Thank you. Thank you. I'm Randi Field.
Good. And how are you doing today? How should I say your name?
Just Randi Field. That's it.
Oh,
They're trying to go with that ruthless thing. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
so do you want to use the name Ruthless, or what's the deal?
I like my name. Just Randi.
Just Randy. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't want to add in your name after when I opened you up as a Strawweight first, because I didn't want to say the name wrong. I felt, oh shoot, I'm gonna mess up your name, and
Oh no, you got it right. You're good.
that's all right. I know that fellow fighter from Windsor, Ron and Marcos. I know. I was hoping to get a podcast with her a while back, and I was like, oh, geez, am I saying it right? Randa. So,
And, yeah.
yeah. So what? Sorry, you were saying you're doing some kind of thing for work, or what is it that you do on the side?
I actually am a registered massage therapist.
Okay.
So I do that full time. And hopefully soon I'll be cutting back on that so I can focus fully on training. With the help of our sponsors, we're going to be able to do that. So I'm super excited and feel very blessed.
Well, it's great to hear. Now, is it like your own private practice, or do you work for someone else?
Yeah, it is my private practice, but I do work for Elevate Health Boutique. They just opened up and they are attached to a gym as well, which is called the Shred Shop. So it was just my dream come true. Everything under one roof, gym, and then massage. We have aesthetics, everything like that. So it's perfect.
Okay. And
Yeah.
speaking of training, you're only able to train at maximum MTC right now, right?
Actually, we are not at MTC.
No?
So no, I train. Well, we are just getting into Hybrid Training Academy again.
Okay.
And then I'm a part of Michigan Top Team, which is just right across the border. So that's where we train at. In the beginning, that's where I actually first met. My coach was at MTC, and that was back in 2014. And then we kind of just went from there. But yeah, we left there a while ago.
Okay. And the
Yeah.
reason why I was asking because when I talked to Manny over the phone, he mentioned that you were trying to get your visa stuff figured out. So I wasn't sure if you were still able to cross the border to train over there.
Yeah, no, not yet. So we did just finish all the paperwork for the visa. So hopefully as soon as that comes in, I'll be able to go back over to where my family's at.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's great to
Yeah.
hear. So your family's from Michigan then?
So Michigan Top Team, they are my family. That's my fam. Yeah. Yeah. So
So
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, no, so I just want to get back there and like if I'm going to be doing a training camp, I want to do it right and I want to do it with my team. Yeah.
absolutely. I do want to get to part of you getting signed with Bellator, but I just want to kind of start from the beginning here. Now I know that you started out training judo with your father when you were younger, but what really got you into MMA in the first place?
So I stopped judo for some reason. I thought I was too cool to fight. I don't know why. Um, so I stopped judo probably around grade 9. And then I went through all my teenage years. To be honest, I was a little shit. I would say that I got into a lot of altercations in my teen years. And it wasn't because I'd go out to start fights or anything like that. Just for some reason, girls wanted to fight me, and I wasn't afraid to fight and stand up for myself and my friends. But I had a lot of pent up aggression and anger, and we went through a lot of things in my childhood, and especially in my teenage years, that just put a lot of resentment and anger in me, and I had no way to channel it and unfortunately I turned to alcohol for a long time, and I ended up hitting rock bottom, and not to get into very specific to how it was, but I was down at the very bottom. There was no going any lower than where I was at. So once I got the help that I needed, my dad brought me into the gym to kind of maybe hoped that I would find a hobby and something else to keep me busy and a different coping mechanism for all of my anger. And I ended up falling in love with boxing actually initially. So I started committing to boxing classes, which were Saturday mornings. But you know, if I didn't have my daughter, Friday night I was going out and I would still show up Saturday, whether I'd still be drunk in the morning, I'd be there. But yeah, so I ended up meeting Manny there, and then a couple classes, and he ended up seeing me throw a nice haymaker at one of his football guys and almost knocking him out. And he was like, whoa, I just want to feel this on pads. So then he asked me to do pads one day, and then he felt my power, and he knew it was just pure anger, no technique or anything. So he just kind of asked me if I wanted to fight, and it sounded like a great idea at the time. So I said yes.
I was going to say, yeah, because you got some power in those hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, and you know what's interesting you find nowadays is that, you know, you're not finding people or fighters who are starting to train or fight at like 30 or, you know, a little after 30 years old. You know, you're finding a lot more fighters where they have that fighting background, like from you know, from previous years when they're younger, and they carry it into their career. So you're seeing a lot more athletes. They're training younger and younger and younger, and I think that's why, especially for even the women getting into the sport, you see so much skill and diversity, I find, in the sport.
Yes. Yeah. And different, it's all different levels too. Like, I find it's amazing that you can watch a fighter and you can watch them one fight and then maybe watch them in a fight 6 months later and they look like a totally different fighter. And that's the thing is, like, you know, as you become more and more aware of your body and the things that you can do, you just keep adding. And this is a job of criticism. So you constantly need to be taking that criticism in order to evolve and become better. You have to be good with taking that as well. So.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, on top of that too, you have to get in those fights where you really have to find, or you really have to face that adversity, I think,
Yes.
and to have that one opponent that really, or more than one opponent that really, really ups your game and really gives you a bit of that challenge for sure to really push yourself and your skills.
Yeah, for sure. I've gone to war several times. Like, a lot of my fights have been right to the end, 5 rounds, full 3 rounds, just straight out wars. I come out looking like a brute, but I won. So it's like, I know I'm able to go to war and go to battle. And yeah, I definitely have been tested several times.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how long have you been training for? Like 5, 6 years?
We'll be going on 6 years. Yep.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, so how did you feel going into your very first fight? And I'm not talking about pro, I'm talking about amateur. So we're talking years ago.
Yeah. That was back in 2015. So I actually fairly quickly went into it. I'm going to tell you, I had 0 ground game at that point. So my first MMA fight, there was so many people there. Actually, even I had a first boxing match in Windsor as well, and that was the same thing. So many people there, but I was very excited. But the feelings change as you continue on. Like, I don't remember having the feeling of what the hell am I doing here when I was at the small Fogelar. So the Fogelar is just like a banquet hall. And then you get into one of the fights where you have all these spotlights on you and it's like, holy crap, like you can't really see the crowd. You just see what's around you and you're like, I'm here, I'm doing this. And sometimes it's scary as hell and you're like, what am I doing this for? And then as soon as you start, you're like, all right, this is why I'm doing it. And then I just remember my first one, I seemed very calm. And I had, if you didn't know me, you'd think I'd fought before. But then the second one came around and it's totally different. I got submitted within the first minute. So it's all been a learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so when you talk about like your first fight, you weren't as nervous, but your second fight, like how, like what's the feeling? Obviously, I can't. I'm not expecting you to say, "Oh, I'm great. I love getting. I love losing the fight." But like what's the real, like what's the, like the inner feeling when you get finished in the fight? Like, is it more like, you know what, I lost. It's time to go back to the drawing board, or how does it really feel?
I always end my fights, win or lose, with a hug. So I definitely have appreciation for my opponent. For me, it's definitely back to the drawing board. I remember it was my third amateur fight, and I'm telling you, Luke, I was demolishing my opponent, and the crowd got to me. And you can be ground and pounding, but if you do not have the right position, you will get your back taken. And that's exactly what happened. Is I fed into that crowd, and I heard everybody cheering, and I just kept going and going. Next thing you know, this girl's on my back, around my neck, not even choking me, but I panicked and I tapped. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So that was like, I came out of that so disappointed because I should have had that in the bag, but I wasn't listening to my coach. I wasn't listening to my corner. And that was something huge now. And because now you can hear me fight in Windsor, and I watch the videos on YouTube, and you can hear the crowd going crazy, but I don't hear it anymore. It's like a change of focus and understanding what you need to focus on, but you need to have control over your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a as much as it's a physical game, it's also just all in the mind too.
Yeah.
And you have to be dialed in. You got to be dialed in the fight. You hear a lot of these fighters that lose their fight, and one of the biggest things that they say is, "I just wasn't mentally prepared." And
Yeah.
and if you're not mentally prepared, if you don't want to be in there, if you don't want to fight, or if you don't think you're gonna fight, or if you don't think you're gonna be able to win, or et cetera, you shouldn't be fighting. And I've seen it where there's fighters where they go in and fight, and they don't want, it doesn't look like they want to be in there, and they just get demolished. And I
Yeah.
feel it's like, what are you doing then? You know?
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree. I haven't had that experience where I actually not wanted to be there yet, but I have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just kind of moving on here. As I know that you've been signed with Bellator MMA, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, Now, when I was talking with Manny on the phone, he mentioned that obviously you're working out the visa things going on with the paperwork, as you said.
Yeah.
Uh, so now he mentioned that it's a possibility that you might get on that cyborg fight, or that cyborg card. So what's a possibility we might see you on there?
Well, that would be phenomenal. We just finished all of our paperwork actually for the visa. I've been getting everything done. I went and seen my doctor, got all my medicals. The only thing we're waiting on is pretty much the go ahead. So if I were to get on that card, oh my God. Cyborg, I seen the questions. She is my idol, man. I love her. I adore her. But it's not just even the fighter that she is. I watched a documentary on her for her weight cuts,
Oh my God.
and oh my God, did you see it?
Saw it. It was, as much as I know what weight cutting is, I've seen people do weight cuts. Not that I've
Mhm.
doing one, but I can see the hard, how hard it can be, and et
Yes.
cetera. But I watched that documentary. I'm like, oh my God.
And
Just,
her heart is just, she is beautiful. Like she is just a queen. Like,
hmm
and I got the chance to meet her in Vegas.
yeah.
And I did not hesitate to tell her that's what made me fall in love with her, because 100% it it is what made me fall in love with her. And I think it's just seeing maybe struggle in a woman too, but mentally, like we can defeat any of that because we've been through worse. So she's definitely an idol of mine. So if I were to get onto that card, it's like, oh, free tickets to Cyborg show. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go. And So, the possibility you might fight on her card. So you got the luxury to meet her and everything. So from what I'm understanding, that you've got to train with her and you got to get invited out to dinner with her. I'm hoping I'm thinking the same person.
No, I have not been able to train with her. Her and I were communicating about me possibly going out to California to train with her,
Okay.
but life just got busy and COVID happened, and everything just kind of got put through a little whirl. But I'm gonna still bug her and gonna try and come back. But yeah, her and I, we all went out for dinner together, and I got the privilege to hide a coffee on her and her husband and film them as they were going crazy looking for it, and not get punched in the face for doing it. So that was great. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just hoping that eventually that's where life will take me, is out to her gym. I have trained at American Top Team. I think that's what you're thinking of,
Yeah.
where I met Amanda Nunes and Jillian Robertson. Joanna had actually just fought the weekend prior, so I missed her. But we got to meet a lot of amazing and talented fighters out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to get back to that point of you training over there. But yeah, like kind of, elaborating on the point you made about, falling in love with, just, loving the person that she is. You gotta love her. She's, she's badass. She can fight. But the one thing that is so, the thing that, I love is that she's such a nice person, and
Yes.
she's so kind, and she's so nice. But you go in the cage and she's not so nice.
No.
I don't think I would want to owe that girl money. That's for sure.
No, I wouldn't want to either. I would give it right back. I mean, here you go.
And and I felt bad when she lost against Nunes. As Nunes, I love Nunes too. It was just like, what just happened? Because Nunes made her look like, okay, like Nunes is now like probably the female GOAT, and kind of transitioning into Nunes now. So you got to train an American Top Team.
Yeah.
And you got to train with Jillian Robinson, a couple other people. Do you feel that kind of facilitated your training and your skills?
Yeah, well, let's talk about Jill for a second. She is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a complete humbling experience, because we went, I think it was 5-minute rounds, and she held me down for 4.5.
Oh
like,
my God.
Just understanding, they always say to me, be heavy on your hips, be heavy on your hips. And I'm thinking I'm heavy on my hips, but I was shown what being heavy on your hips is, because there wasn't a huge weight difference between her and I, but she completely just kept me down. There was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what she would do if she was able to punch me in the face too. So that was a very humbling experience. Just also seeing what I was able to see there was, when somebody is in a training camp, they have full focus, which is great. They have someone sitting there and dissecting every single thing that they're doing, tweaking every little punch, just to make sure that it's completely perfect. And that was something I really appreciated about American Top Team too, is that focus on that single fighter with said coach for that day. So that was something that we kind of took back with us as well. And then I've been working with our jiu-jitsu coach over at Michigan Top Team, Jason Fisher, who is phenomenal, and really taking his time to really show me how to transition on the ground, to incorporate that into my fights, because I get in a lot of positions, but I didn't know what to do. So to have somebody to work with like that, it's definitely something that we've seen is super, super important.
Yeah. Geez. And, you bring up the idea with rolling with Jillian Anderson. She's a threat on the ground for sure. I mean, on the feet as well. I mean, I think the first time I watched her fight, I knew right away, this girl, she's going to be a real contender in the women's Flyweight, I think. Flyweight, Strawweight,
Flyweight, yep.
Flyweight,
Flyweight,
Flyweight
yep.
division. So yeah, she's a real deal on the ground. I mean, her jiu-jitsu and her ground game is just unreal. So, I mean, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I'd be squirming. I'd be like, please just choke me out and leave me there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you mentioning you're training at Michigan Top Team. So is that like kind of like a like is that like a like a sister camp or something? Is that like
No, that's actually owned by Darren Cruikshank.
oh, okay.
So, yeah, he was former UFC. He's now in Risen. He is a complete badass. You have to watch his fights. He is like knockout king. Most beautiful kicks I've ever seen. But yeah, he is just a beast, and he trains us all to have the mindset of him. Like the first day I went to Michigan Top Team, Manny had brought me over. We were doing technical sparring, and Darren teeped me right in the chest, and the wind knocked out of me. But he pushed me to keep going, and I was like screaming for air, trying to catch my breath, but I stayed on my feet and I kept my hands up and I kept going. I probably threw some very ugly haymakers, but he puts that in your head that even if you're injured, you can't just give up. You have to keep going. So I'm very grateful to have somebody like that in my corner too. So yeah, he is the owner of Michigan Top Team and head coach.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I need to do more of my homework here.
Yeah, I'll look him up. You'll be inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you bring up the idea about coaches pushing their fighters. Yeah, like, and I think that does translate into your fights and other people's fights. You watch other fighters where they just don't give up in the fight, and I think that part of that could be them, part of their their fighter mentality. But I think also, I mean, the coaches just play such a big role.
Yep.
You look at just fighters. Some fighters like Anthony Smith, like guys like him. I mean, they just don't give up in the fight, and I think a lot of that has to do with the coaching. Whether I mean it could be just fighter mentality, but I mean I think the coaches play such a big role in that.
Yeah, of course. Like if you're in there and you have like everyday training, you have your team, you have your coaches right there, but at the end of the day, you walk into that cage and it's you by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you might feel a point where I don't know if I can do this anymore, but if you're not going to do it for yourself, you're definitely going to do it for the people that you love, and you love and respect your coaches for the amount of time and effort that they put into your training camp to make sure that you are successful. So if you're not going to do it for yourself, you will definitely do it for them.
Oh yeah, and that's it. I mean, if you're at the end of the day, you need to do it for yourself. I mean, they're there to coach you, but you're not doing it for them yet. You're doing it for yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Whatever you're fighting for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just give me a sec. I've just been talking with people all day, so.
Yeah, you're all good.
So, you being, you fighting, you being someone from Windsor, fighting in Windsor, I guess. So like, we've had other fighters come out from Windsor. I mean, I don't know what's in the water in Windsor, but I mean, we're starting to get so many great fighters coming out. I mean, you got like I said, Random Marcos, TJ Laramie, a couple other people that have really been successful. So, I mean, how does it feel to kind of be that next fighter to really get signed into a big promotion and kind of break out?
I'm very proud. And especially like, Windsor's awesome. Like there's so much support around here. Bless you.
Sorry.
That's okay. There's so much support around here. And I feel very, very lucky. And also in my career as well as a massage therapist, I see so many people every single day, and just that support keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's a really, really amazing city to represent. And I'm very proud.
Yeah. And do you like, when you're out in the community, how do you respond to the fan base?
What do you mean?
Sorry. Okay, let me be more specific. obviously you're out and about. I'm sure people see you and they want to like get pictures or they want to like shoot the shit or whatever. So how do you respond to that? Because obviously it would appear that you're quite the busy girl.
Yes. I like to stay in my house, but when I do have to go out, I mean, I don't know. For me, like there's so much more to me too. So I'm like, I'm a mom.
Mhm.
My daughter is the most important thing to me, and I like to talk about other things too. I actually, they're gonna say if you were to ask Manny, he'd tell you I'm very humble, and I actually don't like to talk about my fighting very much because I don't want to be that person that it's like, look at me, I'm not better than anyone. Like I just, I love to do what I do, but I also love to be normal, you know.
Right.
So
You want to separate yourself from being a fighter and being someone that can fight on TV and look at her, but you also want to separate yourself from that to, just being a mom and having a family and just being a
yeah,
person, you know?
yeah. Like when I go out, like there'll be people comment on how I look all the time, but like I want to feed that comment right back. No, you're just as beautiful, and I don't want anyone to ever see me as up here and themselves lower, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. And I
Yeah.
mean, as much as you don't want that, I mean, I think you're going to continue getting that, which is not a bad thing. But I think too, yeah, and I really appreciate that you mentioned that and you recognize the fact that like, as much as even if you have the most world elite, like people who are, champions for years and years and everything. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just people like you and I, and it's nice to hear someone as humble as yourself to be able to recognize that, hey, like I do this for a living, but I also have a life at home too, and I have a
Yeah.
family, and so it's nice to kind of hear something like that. You don't hear fighters normally talk about
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to talk about it.
that. Yeah, so I guess when it comes to you're fighting at strawweight, so do you feel good at that weight? Would you ever go up to flyweight, or how do you feel cutting to that weight?
Ready for the drum roll?
Um,
I'm actually fighting at 125 in Bellator.
oh, you're gonna be fighting at 125. Okay.
Yeah, so they don't have a strawweight division.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I've been trying to pack on some pounds here. I feel phenomenal cutting down to 115 because I can cut down to 125 easily, and then you do your water cut, and
Oh,
then you get back up. But now trying to put on a little bit of muscle, which I love Cyborg, and I would love to fight on her show. But if I had a little bit more time to put on some nice solid muscle weight, I would appreciate that too. Because I know these girls are going to be walking around bigger because that's what I do at 115. So definitely time to gain muscle and weight properly rather than going and eating a pizza or however else you'd want to gain that weight.
yeah. And I know like it's no secret that a lot of fighters they tend to try to put on that muscle, they try to put on that weight, whatever weight they're fighting at, just to be able to be the bigger fighter. Um, do you typically find that you were more of the bigger fighter at strawweight, or how did you match up with some of the ladies?
I do find that I am a bigger fighter at 115. My last fight, I did try to cut meat out of my diet, which then I got super, super thin. So usually my first professional MMA fight, I was able to get back up to 127 the next day.
Okay.
And then this one, I only got up to 123.
Oh,
So it was a huge difference. So I did feel smaller. I felt a little weaker. Um, so yeah, generally I am a big 115er.
and can you kind of take me through your weight cutting process? Like, when do you truly start the weight cutting, and do you like what is in your diet that helps you cut to the weight before you do the actual water cutting?
Okay, so a lot, like we start about 6 weeks out, like really cleaning up that diet. So I have to cut out chocolate completely because I am a chocolate addict.
God.
Uh, um, so we eat a lot of just your chicken, your fish, eggs, avocados.
Yeah, you're getting your
I,
fats.
you know what's really good is rice cakes too for the for like a quick carbohydrate. That was something I didn't do before.
Yeah, that's something that my coach had me on one time, just before the quarantine, because I stopped training with him for a bit, and that's
Mhm.
exactly what he had me on. I think it was after my workouts. He had me eat those. It's like the Quakers, like the caramel. I think the caramel
Yeah,
just gives you a little bit of that sugar after a really high intensity workout.
yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're totally fine. Yeah, no, just and really like I time everything because especially I was working full time too, so I'd make sure I have my nice protein pancakes. I eat protein pancakes every single day for breakfast. And then I time myself, okay, I'm gonna have my snack at this time, lunch, snack, dinner. Um, but yeah, just to be honest, like I eat very clean usually. So it's not too hard for me. But then the last week, you're cutting out, like, you can't have vegetables. You don't want to have the fiber because it's hard to push it through when you're tapering down your water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just eat pretty much your chicken, eggs, a little bit of avocado, and then you're tapering down on your water throughout the week. So yeah, it's around about it.
And so, what is normally your method of the water weight cutting? Like, do you just? I know some people like will sit in like a sauna. Some people like to like they almost they look like a not a bed, but it's like this. Like they sit in this like almost like a like it's like a material box and sit in, and the material goes right up to their neck. You like zip it all the way up, and they heat it up or something.
Yeah, that's actually a portable sauna.
Portable sauna, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a portable sauna. Yeah, we actually just bought one.
Damn, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Your arms can come out. You can read a book. You can text. You can do whatever. Yeah, we just got one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't know. It's always been something like a dream of mine to have like a sauna in my own home. And I don't know. I guess maybe throwing that idea out, but maybe portable sauna might not be a bad idea. I love
Yeah.
in the sauna. It feels so good. You feel so clean.
Yes.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
listen to Joe Rogan. He talks about how good it is for you. I mean, to an extent, right? But
Yeah. We listen to Joe Rogan every single night. Like his podcast put us to sleep.
oh, I love listening to that stuff.
Yeah.
And I love the post that he always makes about him using his sauna. And well, I'm not too sure if he has one now because he moved to Texas, but
Hmm.
yeah, I love the post that he makes when he's in the sauna and just the way like, and I mean not so much cutting so much water weight, but just cutting a little bit all the time, just clearing the toxins out of your system. It's
Yeah.
so damn good.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
unfortunately, that I'm at, it's we don't have the sauna anymore. Or they have it, but it's not operating. So it's like, really, like you got one, but they won't operate it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. Well, they're not anywhere, but that's with new times.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So just kind of moving on here. So I guess every fighter I think prefers a kind of fight that they like to be in. So what do you prefer? Do you like that kind of dog fight? Do you kind of like that pressure fight, high stakes fight?
I really like the quick fights. I'm not gonna lie, but no. I really well, I do love the battles. I have to say because I mean, watching them after I look like I enjoy them. Like I've been straight shin to chin kicked in the face, and I'm like smiling like I just got a birthday present. So I guess I do like those high intensity fights and those ones that are going to push me. Naturally I am an adrenaline junkie, so I I think it's just being pushed to my limits and realizing that I can conquer whatever it is that I set my mind to. And if it's going to be 3 5-minute rounds and I finish that, that is like, hell yeah, I just did that. I mean, the first fight was done in round one, my first professional fight. And it was kind of like, I was like, holy crap, like it's done already. Like, I mean, great win, but didn't push me, you know?
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
kind of mentioning about fights, you've talked about you being in five round fights. So do you like the 5 rounders? Do you like the 3 rounders? What do you prefer?
So the 5 round was an amateur. So it was 5 3-minute fights, or 5 3-minute rounds.
Hmm.
I mean, after the third one and you're like, oh my God, I still have 2 more, you're kind of like, holy crap. But it's all depending, because I guess what's really happening in the fight, because you can sometimes be like, holy crap, that was 5 minutes. Or you can be like, holy shit, when's this 5 minutes over? It's all depending. Like, I find wrestling to be a lot more difficult than your stand-up boxing. Once you're getting gritty on the fence, like, that's when you really, like, you're pushing yourself and you're pressuring yourself. So those 5 minutes are a little longer. But I definitely prefer 5-minute rounds, just because there's so much that can happen in that time. 3 minutes is kind of like, sometimes you're even just like, the first round, you're just kind of warming up and you're feeling each other out and just kind of see what the person does for their tweaks, or, what they do before they throw. You're kind of more studying them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they typically say that it's usually the feel out round. And for myself, I wish every fight would be 5 rounds, because there's so many great fights I've seen, and they are only 3 rounds, and you got to wonder, like, why not 5 rounds? Why?
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
and a lot of fighters that tell me they like the 5 minute, they like the five. Sorry, let's say 5 minutes, the 5 round fights,
Mm-hmm.
because it gives them that time to really, I guess, showcase all their skills in a fight, but also, they find sometimes, like, a three round fight, you kind of have to, blast your way through that fight, because if you lose the first round, I mean, you got 2 more rounds to work with, and you better win them both. So,
Yeah.
I guess I could kind of understand that with the with the 5 round fights, but.
Mm-hmm. And it's pushing yourself too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
also, like, anyone can win a round or a fight that's 1 round, like,
Yeah.
that can go any way, but really pushing yourself all the way through, and then knowing that you won through that whole 25 minutes or however long, if you're amateur or whatever, just knowing that you just, like, you won that, like, you went all the way to the end, you pushed yourself, and you were able to come up victorious.
That's all right. Victorious.
Just take that out. But the fact that you're able to come out on top, that's when you really feel good about yourself,
Hmm.
Even if you don't win, actually, it feels great both ways.
Yeah, and also too, like, I think every fighter needs to go 5 rounds, because
Yeah.
I think, for the most part, most fighters, I mean, their dream is to get that gold, and if you want to get into those fights, I mean, you're gonna have to learn to go 5 rounds. I mean, especially when you get to the champ, and I don't know who the. I mean, I don't want to fast forward into your career here, but I'm not too sure who the champ is in the 125 in Bellator. Is it that Hawaiian girl, I think?
I actually don't know either.
Okay.
That's a good
That's
question.
terrible. We both don't know.
So we'll take that part out too.
Whoever it is, I think that, I think every fighter needs to know how to go 5 rounds, because I find the problem is these fighters, they'll get a bunch of first round finishes, or they go 3 rounds and it's like, yeah, I'm good, I'm great. I can beat the champ. And then they get into a 5 round fight, and then they realize, well, shit. I mean, no, you're going 5 rounds. So I think it's important that every fighter gets that 5 round fight once in a while to
Yeah.
know what it's like to pace yourself and to go
Yes.
beyond your ability.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I the last show, was it the last show? No, the first show here in Windsor. Both my coach and I, Manny and I, we fought on it, and the guy he fought, it almost seemed like in round 1 that he completely blew his load. Like, he was just trying to knock him out with everything he had in him. And then you could see by round 2, like, I think he had no choice but to kick Manny in the nuts, because he was like, he blew his load. He's done,
Yeah. And you know what? To talk about that, yeah, it's never fun to get kicked in the nuts. But
Mhm.
I've seen it more and more, and I gotta say, as much as you can't blame a guy saying it, well, it was intentional, but it's really, is it just a coincidence that a lot of these fights where guys are gassing out and then they randomly kick someone in the nuts because they know you kick them hard enough, they're gonna want that 5 minutes to rest.
Rest.
That's
Yeah.
enough
Catch your
for a
breath.
fighter to bring their heart rate down and to recover. So I don't know. I mean, you bringing that up, that ring bells right then and
Yeah. 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 We've seen that before. Yeah.
um, yeah, Randy, I just thank you for coming on the podcast here. We're just kind of coming up on time here, so I just want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to come up on here on the podcast to talk about yourself and your career. And good luck with your career in Bellator MMA. Hopefully, we'll hear some fight news soon, and hopefully, you'll be able to go over to the border there and start training.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, Luke.
Hey, not a
It's been a
problem.
pleasure.